of you would have heard Ministry of Education Cell, MIC, which has done, it has got a innovation cell, which we call it MIC. And it has got a mandate to work very closely with all the higher educational institutes to systematically fostering the culture of innovation. Now it is not only teaching learning, fostering the culture of innovation. When a student come out of a college, come out of an engineering institute or any institute, so that he has also developed entrepreneurship mindset. He has also developed how to innovate, how to incubate one idea, so how to file one IPR. So these are the qualities which he has understood in the college itself. Rather than joining a college and trying to learn this for the first few years, by the time we'll be doing work, and when you 5 years have gone, and by that time you learn, so you are again, no, you will not be able to cope up with other people. So that's the reason why this MIC has established this institution innovation cell in all higher educational institutes, so that it can facilitate all these activities. These activities has to be done by the IIC. They are called Institute Innovation Cell. So they are focused on innovation, entrepreneurship, IPR, and what you say, the prototype building, and all your ideas. No, suppose some good ideas are there. If there is an incubation center, you can incubate your idea there. So they will assist you. The innovation cell is going to assist you, give you all the inputs required for developing your research ideas into an innovation, into a product, into commercialization, into IPR, everything. No, they are going to help you. So it is happening. But MIC and AICT, they had advised all the HAIs to conduct impact lecture sessions under this IIC program to generate awareness. Already these are going on, but to have a focus on this innovation, IPR and startup in some institutions. Okay, so there people are already doing it. It's not that we are not doing. So, but they have given certain funding assistance to all these HAIs, so that these kind of sessions can be conducted, and opportunity can be given to nearby colleges and to many other innovators, MSMEs, any people who are connected with the innovation, so that they take advantage out of it and they try to understand. Like today we are talking strategic management of R&D and innovation ecosystem, and this session we are going to cover IPR, so that we have in mind any research you want to do. These are the basic fundamentals which you should know. Then only we can go for research, you can go for innovation, and we can go for analysis, design, then your prototype manufacturing, everything will be there. So these, in fact, all of us, we hope that the impact lecture sessions will streamline the campus innovation and startup ecosystem. We're saying no, startup ecosystem, everything we're talking now. It's not only this job people that take up, no, they have a startup, they have become an entrepreneur, so that not only that they take a job, now they can start a company, they can employ 5 people. One of our ex-alumni, Mr. Jivan, I think he has also joined here. He has incubated his idea. Now he has employed around 6 to 7 people in his startup. He's just a 2019 pass out ECE batch. So these are the kind of a thing will happen. And everybody, some people, they start their own industry, own startup, and start giving jobs to some 4 or 5 people. Then our employment problem will be solved. And not only that, we come out with some ideas, some products where the self-reliance will come, and country will be able to develop new technologies where HEIs can play a very great role. Industries are working for new products and all. If you go to any public sector or a defense sector or any private sector, big industries, they are working. Okay, they spend a lot of money, crores of money. Just example, I'll give you BHL Corporate R&D Hyderabad. Actually, I was there. So in the R&D Hyderabad itself, about 180 crores money for the R&D setup was being spent. There are so many center of excellence. Similarly, many other R&Ds are there in BHL different units. Similarly, NTPC has got its own R&D. PGCL has got its own R&D. Defense research, a lot of money is spent in R&D. Of course, I do not know how much they spend, but a lot of monies are spent in R&D. A lot of development takes place, and which they are importing, and they are being replaced by indigenous items. Maybe some opportunities are there. will like to also communicate. Those are the things how these are being done. So this you are going to learn a lot, and this is going to help all of you to develop a entrepreneurial mindset. All the best. Thank you.
It's good to connect in a continuous session. We're talking about research, and once you have any research innovation with you, what do you do with that? It's very, very crucial question, and it creates a lot of problems if you don't take care of that. Second, it's not just to not have problem in the future, but the core one is to how to safeguard and create value for yourself and the stakeholders you will be working with, especially the investors. What it is, we will go further, and then we will take part on the entrepreneurship part of it. What is entrepreneurship and why it's important, why everyone is talking about entrepreneurship, what entrepreneurship exactly means, and what it can bring to you in your life, not just startup, but how it helps you in your entire journey in whatever role you play. So let's start that. So taking you to the basics, categories, what all fall under, intellectual property right? How can you do that? Includes intangible creation mostly. It's your knowledge, it's your design, it's your some kind of process which you have innovated. So that everything comes into intellectual property right. Now, IPR, intellectual property right, is the full form. You generally you will read it like an IPR wherever you find. So just an abbreviation is a field and process under which one can retain ownership. So the first thing is it defined your ownership. Whenever you have a product, how did this define? In journal, you can always show a bill. Yes, I paid 10 rupees for it, and that's why this is my ownership on any product or service. But on intellectual, you have to show some documents, and that is a process which gives you that, and that these processes are different for different kind of intellectual properties. So it could be a patent, it could be a copyright, it could be a trademark. There are a lot of other ways to copyright or own your intellectual property, and it depends on different sectors, industries, what work in that particular industry. Let's say in music industry, um, there is hardly any patent until you are going on a product design side, but it's mostly copyright. You're writing songs, story, some kind of those kind of thing, and you just copyright them. Trademark is related to more like an organization. What belongs to an organization? Your trademark could be your any uh, symbols which shows or represent your organization. And patents come more into tangible product and processes, which are very, 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 very unique, and which are very new in their own terms, and which are done in first time globally. So patent always work globally. Copyright trademark works locally until you are going global in another country, then you have to. But for patent, let's say you have a patent in India, the general understanding is ethically that once it is patent in any country, it is accepted, but that's not the case in real sense. For that, either you go for a global patent, or you do patent differently in different countries, or you at least send your documentation to all these organizations if you think that patent can be misused in any other market. In simple terms, let's understand the copyright. A legal process to get ownership for. So it's a card-based game designed, developed totally by me and my co-founder. And we thought we will get a patent for this, and it will be an amazing product. And we knew nobody has created it before, not till now. But we missed on our research part. We did not know that now No, there is no patent for card games or any such games now, like board games and all. Nobody do a patent. That has been abolished all over the world quite long back. Now, once we are done with that, we wanted to get it patented, and we could not do even after a year. And we were either misguided by some people and finally. So we have a copyright for this now. So it's a copyright, entire design, the process, the content in this, the flow chart, how the game work. So these have a copyright, and our company's logo, the taglines we use, they are all under the copyright and trademark. That's our trademark. Now nobody else can use, but they can definitely, if they get this copy, they can try to learn from this and they can create their own game, more or less like this, or could be different. But once you have a patent, that's a very, very big leap, because getting patent in a particular process or particular product, it's not easy for anyone to play around it, because they have to create entirely something new. You can't just do an incremental part of it and have another patent on your name. So that's a difference. So copyright, trademark are little easy in terms of competition. Anybody can work around it. Let's say if you say you also like to put a name like Tata, right? So you can put something behind and prefix, suffix with Tata. You can say fast Tata, slow Tata, and you can use it, but definitely, because Tatas, they are big organization, they will come to know, they will file a legal case against you to not use it, and then you have to fight it back. But you will see a lot of these things are happening in the market. You will find all gray market products where you say they are like infringement. You can find copies of every big brand now. You can find Nike shirts, t-shirts, shoes, whatever, and you will intellectual property right. Now you see here Samsung smartphone before iPhone. You see Apple iPhone announced 2007. Then Samsung took lot from there, and lot of the design part and all were taken from each other without taking permissions, without, or it was the infringement of entire thing, and they have to fight case, $1 billion case against each other and all. You have heard lot of mobile telecom communications companies, they have been fighting and winning $1 billion cases against each other. So it's as Dr. Chaudhary was saying, that it's not so easy to skip with them, and if you get in that problem, it can crash your entire system, entire organization. So you should always take care of that. So again, another one is Samsung touch screen tablet before iPad. You can see, and what iPad changed it. So even the word Coca-Cola, the design of the word Coca-Cola, you see, it's more artistic. It has been all copyright and everything and patented, and their process and everything. So nobody can even use that, the Coca-Cola thing. So that's so valuable. But they have done it globally. Still they face market issues. People are using it for wrong reasons, and that keep on going. But yes, that safeguards them from the market and the competition. So this shows the Coca-Cola bottle. You see this typical bottle, you now hardly see it. It was again a patent. Long time before it used to fall under patent. Now it is no more, until you come with a very unique new design of bottle which is not existing before. So you could always resemble, as soon as you see this kind of bottle, you'll see, oh, this is Coke, even if that Coke is not written on that. Then for e-commerce website Amazon, they have done copyright patent for add to cart, buy now with one click. IPR and entrepreneurship journey. And my best wishes for you to keep innovating, be an entrepreneur in your own way or in an organization wherever you join tomorrow. Solve problem, innovate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions from this? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I am Dr. P. Narayan Shastri, Professor of ECE from CBIT. I have the honor to give the vote of thanks for Sri Kunwar Parmar, Vijay Parmar, who spoke excellently
Thank you so much.
about
sir.
strategic management of R&D and innovation ecosystems in the morning in the first session. And he also spoke very nicely about the cycle of R&D, how it actually works, which is the order of the day. And in the second session, again on IPR and entrepreneurship, we had his vast experience he has shared with all of us. Thank you very much, sir. I also thank the management of CBIT and IIC who have given the permission to host this particular session. More than 250 participants have participated. That is a feather in the cap for CBIT, both for CBIT and also all our team heading by Director I&I, Dr. Umakant Chaudhary, sir. And once again, thank you, sir. Umakant Chaudhary, sir, who was the man behind it. And Dr. Aruna and Jalaja, who have worked day and night to organize this session. Thank you very much, sir. At the end, I also thank all the participants who.
In
Yes.
fact, Ms. Harshita, because we are also going to have a IPR workshop towards the month end, and there are 5-6 subjects we have outlined for that. We'll be in touch with you also for a few more sessions on this, because you are a specialist in IPR. So today, if you'd like to speak a few points, you are welcome. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, and my apologies. There was a power failure during my time of the session, so I got logged out and I had to log back in again. But thankfully, Mr. Vijay, he did a great job at completing the session and covering a lot of points about IPRs and about entrepreneurship. He's definitely an expert in entrepreneurship. I'll give a brief about myself and of course try to cover a little bit about the topic, and then we can discuss more and cover more topics in detail when we have a detailed session. So about me, I'm a chartered accountant and a company secretary, and I run a venture called Entrepreneurly, where we basically support end-to-end, 360-degree support to startups, where we help them with complete end-to-end professional support through our team of multi-domain experts, and completely handhold them from the very beginning, starting of their startup, and completely take them through the process, take them through funding, take them through building the team, take them through IPRs and various other levels of their venture as they initiate the process. So that's about me, and I had multiple topics to cover, but I would just give you a brief. I'm going to share my screen and give you a brief idea about what kind of IPRs are there and what is the process to apply, or what is the differentiation between them, and we'll cover them in short detail as we have a little paucity of time. So I'm just going to share my screen. Please let me know once you are able to see the screen. Is it visible?
It's visible.
Yes, it is visible.
Great. So these were the topics I had planned out. I'm going to cover basically up until the types of IPRs, and if there are any questions, would love to take them as well. Of course, intellectual property, as already discussed, any idea, any work of art, any exclusive right that you are able to generate as part of your intellectual capacity is getting covered under IPRs, and there are various categories of IPRs under which you can register and protect those rights if they become assets. right? So that is about IPR. Any information, any knowledge, any ideas that are of any monetary value, that is very important to understand, that it should be something which you can actually put down on a piece of paper, can actually write it down and conceptualize it, and bring it down in a tacit form, and at the same time you're able to monetize it in some way, either as a brand name or as form of a technology, or you build an application out of it, or you build a product out of it, you use it as a design of a product. It can be multiple other ways. So if you find a way that it is unique, it is new, it is something which is not existing in the market, or it's a slightly improvised version, improved version of a previously existing product, then you can apply for a registration and you can become a registered trademark owner in that case. Right. So these are various types of IPRs. There are copyrights, there are patents, there are trademarks, trade secrets. Just to give you a brief brush up on what all these types are and what do they entail. So, of course, in India, we have IPR laws right now. Recently, we've seen a lot of changes happening in the IPR laws. IPR laws have not been consistently been very active, and they were initiated, initially introduced in India in 1980s, and even ever since then, they have been making a lot of changes in the laws, through the meetings, the hearings, and things like that, written replies as well. And then grant of patent, you are granted a certificate being the owner of the patent, in which what you own, what is exactly included as part of that patent, is all included in that as part of that patent certificate. So that's about what all application process is there in terms of patent, and eventually we'll cover more in the future. So thank you.
Thank you, madam. Maybe a few words just I wanted to speak about, madam. Sri Harshita is a dynamic chartered accountant, chartered wealth manager, and qualified company secretary, founder of Entrepreneurially India, right? The website is also www.entrepreneurially.in. You can visit even that also. This site is working extensively with startups and also businesses by helping them in end-to-end financial and legal support services. She has experience with financial consulting, risk management, and also has helped business establish operations and operating procedures. She has operational expertise in building global network, valuations, business plans, and negotiations on investment and acquisition deals. She is a volunteer for Bal Kutir and also Social Story. This is a brief introduction about her, and we thank you very much, madam. Even though you have joined late, still we are able to have much information from you. Few more points which you have covered about the age factors, about the international patenting, what is the importance of international patenting instead of just patenting only in India, and how to go with and what are the other forms of patenting and all. Thank you very much for the valuable information, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Narhar Shastri sir to propose vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Harshita. It was a very nice presentation, very quick but very crisp and a nice presentation, and to the point. And definitely, as we have discussed, we are going to have a workshop where 6 or 7 topics on IPR, all these things we are going to cover. Definitely, I'll be in touch with you so that you can take 1 or 2 sessions there.
I have the honor to speak about the vote of thanks to Harshita Kushwa, madam. We are very fortunate to have you, madam, and very lucky that the electricity power has come back and you are joined. So anyway, most of the topics, whatever you have covered, in general, you have covered 100% session within half of the time, less than half of the time. Thank you, madam. It's my pleasure to thank our director, Dr. Umakant Chaudhary Garu, and also CBIT management, who have come forward and given us the opportunity to hear you, and all the other coordinators like our Jalaja Madam and Dr. Jalaja Madam and Dr. Aruna Madam, who have contributed for doing this particular session. The participants also more than 200 in the afternoon after you came. That is again another good thing what we are seeing, positive thing, that we have more than 200 participants who have heard you. So thank you very much, madam. And
He is the nominated Innovation Ambassador by MHRD's Innovation Cell. Sir has innovated world's first startup game and reflector stick for blind. He has the credit of founding India's first farm tourism startup. He worked as a business development manager in Gen Technologies Limited, South Delhi, and mentor of New Delhi. Mr. Parmar has done a certificate course on entrepreneurship in emerging economies from Harvard University and MBA marketing from Institute of Public Enterprise. Sir has volunteered for Bharat Seva Ashram, an NGO, as an educator. With this short introduction, we're pleased to welcome you, sir, to this session. And we are also great to have your acceptance for this session, sir. Thank you very much.
So much, ma'am.
Thank you, Mali. Over to you.
Over to Kunava, sir.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. Start.
Kunava, sir, you are not audible, sir.
Hello. Am I audible now?
Volume is less, sir.
Just let me check. It's 100%. Hello. Am I audible?
Ma'am, Jalaja,
Yes, sir.
ma'am, volume is less. You are audible, sir, but your volume is less, sir.
Okay. Let me try without video. Sometime. Hello, everyone. Am I better now? Is it more clear?
If the mic is near, sir, then it would be good, sir.
Okay. Try to be close to the system.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, thank you again for inviting. It's always pleasure to connect back to the institution and all of you, and especially the students and participants who are here to gain some knowledge from what I could share with you. So not wasting much of time, today's session is quite interesting, and it will be very, very helpful for your journey, whether you are becoming an entrepreneur or also in your career per se. So the topic is strategic management of research and development and innovation ecosystem. I'll be keeping it more core to the Indian ecosystem, so you have more connectivity to it rather going globally. And so let's go to the first section of it. So there is a term called circular social innovation. So rather taking you directly to research and development and ecosystem. Let's understand why things are changing the way they were before 10, 20, 30 years, the way research development was happening. The objective of research development was different than what we have now. And the core is more about how you can create a social impact. In the social impact, how you can have a circular rippling effect on the entire ecosystem, including the economy, the people around in that particular region. And innovation is very critical because innovation has a massive impact, and you cannot now assume that solving problem the way we were solving traditionally will help in the long run, because we have obviously we have a lot of more resources. We have technology with us, which add on to innovation. And we have a massive pool of youngsters, the young India, between 25 to 30 years, one of the youngest nation in the world. We have to take, best benefit of that. So let's go and understand circular social innovation. So in a very simple sense, CSI happened to a sweet spot where social enterprise implement the principle of circular economy through a social innovation. So we are talking about social enterprises. We are talking about implement the principle of circular economy. So economy, which was very, much confined to a very handful of people, and it was not opened up to a generic anyone. Now, which you can see even a 18-year, 20-year or more younger, student, even if they are not coming from a very good background, they are the change makers. They are creating organizations which are $1 million of worth. They are creating innovation which we otherwise could not think, and we always thought it's a work of government or a scientist or somebody who has done a lot of degrees in education. Are only people who can do that innovation and create that impact. Or there are people who are genius. So that thing has broken up. How? Social innovation. So how do you innovate in everything which is happening around you? You take any problem which is around you, or you take that as an opportunity and you innovate that. So the existing system, the process, the product becomes much better for the use of masses, because that creates the marketability of it, not for some handful of the people. Now, if you see the circle of circular social innovation, it meets all of three meets at a particular place, which they call it circular social innovation. First is the circular economy for all. Everyone can participate, and it's touching every person, every stakeholder in the society, not for some special category people. Then it is talking about social enterprise. How it will happen? Only through, if we have social enterprise organizations which are thinking to solve social problems and through social innovations. And you might have seen already a lot of innovations happening around you in day-to-day basis. It could be people like who are from the rural areas, from teachers to any person who is even not highly educated, and they are creating small innovation which is changing their day-to-day life, or it's bringing a big change into society per se. So it has very crucial three highlights and three characters. So first one, it seeks to deliver holistic, sustainable development. So this word holistic is very important whenever you are working on an innovation, any solution, product, or building an organization. It should have a holistic approach, that this entire wealth creation, the innovation, the problem solving should be connecting to a larger mass, including the sharing of the wealth creation. So that is to be holistic approach, where you include as much as possible stakeholders of the society. Sustainable development, it's not that once you have created something, you are happy and you say, I have created an innovation, I have a patent and all, but I'm not the man, a person who is responsible for its marketability and what to do. That's all. But that's not the point. Now, again, you as yourself has to be holistic in terms. You are the innovator. You are the person who go and touch upon a problem, bring some solution innovatively, and also do marketable part of it, and think that it should be marketable. Once you market it, it should sustain there. It should sustain through demands, through revenue, profits, and that sustainability part has to be done. Second sustainability part is the environment. Consider the economic, environmental, and social outcomes. So you have to think sustainability for everyone, not sustaining just your organization, your profits, but the environment included, this the society which is touching with it, and the economy, of an intervention in an integrated manner. So as much integration, that means you are connecting with more and more stakeholders and not leaving or just working for a particular sector or a set of people. And it has to be inbuilt from the very beginning rather than seeing one or more incidental outcome. Sometime it happens and after through of the process. Second, in focus on restorative and regenerative activities, which may not be necessarily characteristic of non-circular social. So we are not saying it's non-circular. So you have to see that restoration and regenerative activities also be part of it. Innovations in terms of process or products. So services to enable circularity central to the pyramid. So it could be product, process, it could be anything. It could be even business modeling. It could be anything which is happening, already existing, and you are bringing some change into it. So innovation is no more just connected only to a product, and it is something which is a rocket science. 10 years back, if I remember, until I started my entrepreneurship journey, studying innovation, entrepreneurship, and everything, and the time and ecosystem has changed with that. We all used to believe that it's not a job for a normal person or a regular school going or a college going person. Obviously, cannot think even of innovation. And obviously, we were not talking about in schools and colleges and all. But now things are changing, and we understood that anybody can do it. And you have seen in your houses around you, people, including your mother and your, people, workers, they do a lot of innovations, but they never market it and they never seen it from that perspective, or it was more personal. They have done it and they are working and has made some of part of their life easy. But now we are talking about an holistic approach, and that's why we have the concept of circular social innovation, that it could go, it should have that capability, it should include that holistic approach, so it could go to the larger masses and connect to all the sectors and part of the entire system where you are working. So this is what you need to take care whenever you are talking about research and development.
Vote of thanks, Nancy, sir, madam.
You're talking about innovation, so that you should be able to do. Can you help me to go to the next slide, because it has changed my things. Okay. Now
Sir,
it's
can
on.
you maximize your screen, sir?
Yeah, I'm trying. Now it's happening. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So that was the background setup whenever you are thinking of research and development, which is connecting to innovation. Now let's break down what is the difference between R&D and innovation. Can we call it as a holistic term innovation, or do we do R&D separately? If you go back again, 10, 20, 30 years back, we were not talking about innovation. Research and development was a very, very heavy jargon. And
Excuse me.
was, yeah.
Sir, your voice is a bit low. Can you speak louder?
Yeah, I'm trying my best, but I don't know why.
Yes, sir. Your voice is low, sir.
My
Is it possible to use any headset, sir?
Sorry, I don't use headset, but I can try my mic if that works.
Yeah.
Give me
Yes, sir.
That would be
a
nice.
second. Hello,
Yes, sir.
is it much better now?
I think it's the
Hello.
same, sir.
Hello, hello. Is it same?
It is
Unable to
same,
see
sir.
the screen also.
It's same, sir. Our voice are louder, sir. Other people voice, but your voice is coming low. Can you just put your laptop nearer to you, sir, and speak louder? Then I think we may
Fine.
hear better.
I've tried with this headphone, but I don't know. Last time there was no such issues. Hello, hello. Is it better?
No, sir.
Just give me a second. Hello.
I think you need to increase the system volume, sir.
Yeah, it's 100% actually.
It's
That's why.
100%. Okay.
Shout from my side. Hello.
Madam,
it's
unable
now.
to see PPT also, madam.
Hello.
No, sir.
Is it
PPT
better?
is seen, sir.
Unable to see PPT also.
We can see
You're not
PPT, sir.
Yeah, PPT is visible, but voice also is bit low. But let us go ahead because we'll be sharing the video link what we are recording to with all the participants. So there in the recording, it will be clear. So you can hear by increasing the volume there, you can always hear. So we'll go ahead with the session, whatever is the volume, it is bit low, but we'll go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Sir, one more
thank you.
request from our end. Can you, if possible, can you speak louder so that it's audible?
Yeah, I am almost shouting actually.
Oh,
Is it?
sorry. Sorry, sir.
But because definitely I also feel bad about if it's not audible to students. It's always good to listen at the same moment rather than recordings. Okay, let me continue.
Yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
This is better now, it's better.
Okay, so I'll be speaking more closer. I think I'll try. Okay, so yeah, I was speaking about R&D and innovation, the difference, and then we'll go to the ecosystem. So research and development, whenever you see, you ask, you never use those words in, colleges until you go to the masters and, to a specific, mostly the science driven, departments. And it was more about, some people who wanted to go and have their 10 years down the line and innovating something which is not normally for generic masses, not solving a generic problem, but very, very complex problem. It could be going to, space, or it could be solving some technological issues, or mostly, like that. But the time has changed, and research and development has become an generic term in the existing world where you're talking about entrepreneurship, you're talking about startups, and it's an iterative process, moreover you can say, which leads to innovation. So in terms, well, when you do a research in entrepreneurship world, you actually find out what is there to be solved, what is a worth problem solving. So you research and find it out. You also research, is there an existing alternative? Are there already people working on it? Or is there no one working on it and it is really something to be jumped upon? And then you start developing hypotheses, start developing multiple solutions to find out which of the one is going to be suitably fit on different terms, on execution part, its cost, the skills required, the resources required to execute, deploy it, and so many other things. But now everything is a part of a strategy where you do research, you keep on developing multiple solutions, you execute prototypes, and finally what comes out is called an innovation. So the final outcome is a product or a service which is an innovative product or a service, which is now connected to more day-to-day life problem challenges. Now you can say when email was, made, developed, designed, it was an innovation, which is now impacting everyone's life. Same as internet when it was developed in initially time. So the output is actually innovation. And if you don't market the product or service, then you cannot call it innovation. It is just an invention. So that's the difference. If you do research development, you put that research development in papers, you get patent and all, and nothing beyond it, it remains an invention with a particular organization, with a particular person. That's all. You can't call it an innovation. If you have to call it an innovation, you have to see the market side of it, which is the commercialization of your entire product or whatever solution service you are bringing in. So that is R&D in innovation, but you should understand as a student in an existing system where we are talking more about becoming an entrepreneur who is solving problems around you. And definitely it's worth solving, and you can become a $1 billion organization, and you can impact a very, very large mass of people. And it could be education, it could be anything purely futuristic innovation, or it could be solving day-to-day life problems. Then talks about the ecosystem. So we'll go on that. Now I'll give you a list of organizations which are already helping specifically India and youngsters in funding them, mentoring them, guiding them in this research development and innovation journey. And these are very, very special organizations who are focused on social innovation. So they don't look for general social commercial startup which you see around you like Ola or Uber, but they are looking people who are passionate and who are solving some social problems. So I'll be taking you through the top 11 social innovation funding organizations. You can call them, some they have incubation centers, some they just do funding part of it. They run as an NGO, Section 8 company, so that's a different, kind of organization. But overall, their main aim is how to improve, support the social innovation sector in India. So Unlimited India is one where luckily I have gone through that process. One of ours, my own innovation was selected in that, and they have a very long process first to select, and then they go with the screening process and all those things that we can discuss someday later. But you should know that there are organizations, there is no problem or funding. They actually are looking for people. Actually, they have a problem to find out such people, because in India, we are just starting in that journey. In Europe, America, it has been started like 30, 40, 50 years back or a little more. So these are the organizations you can write, and later on you can take from the recording and you can reach them, seeing their portfolio. Every organization do give the support, give funding and everything, but they have a portfolio. Some are restricted. They only give funding for a person or an entrepreneur or a startup who are solving something in education, something in technology, something in, let's say, how to, overcome rural problems. It could be poverty or all. So you have to see which organization fits to your kind of problem and sector you are into. So Unlimited India has helped create more than 12,000 jobs. So they have a lot of fundings, and they take fundings from different, people and organizations who like to create such impact. So they became the screening organization, filtering the ideas, seeing what kind of impact you and your idea will create, and then financing you with whatever budgets they have. and that they also mentor you and take you through a process so you can reach to a level. Willgrow is another one, another amazing and very big organization, and it has been backed by even global investors, so they can create social impact. You can keep reading the text. I'm just telling you the organizations. And Action for India, again a very big organization. So they create annual, pitches. They invite people, and then they select it from there, and then they go ahead with their process by funding, mentoring, and everything. So that's part of it. Deshpande Foundation, again, I've been part of their system. I know them. Again, it's been funded by one of the entrepreneur who is Indian entrepreneur based in US, Mr. Deshpande, and he is one of the big name in the technology and software sector in Silicon Valley. And they created Deshpande Foundation. They have so many, incubation centers. They have main incubation center in South India, and they have a lot of programs on training, funding, and everything. So you should reach to them if you have any idea and you are coming up with any entrepreneurial social impact innovation. Then Rural Technology Business Incubator. There are multiple of them. One of such is IIT Madras. So they are looking only which kind of idea can create some impact in rural, life through technology. And they made an entire setup where you can go pitch them. Now everything is online. Again, they have funding, they have mentoring, they help you with the further challenges which you face in your journey. Dasra, again, very well known organization. So they also have a lot of funding with them, so you can reach them also. And they all have their portfolio, as I was telling. Somebody is focused on rural area, somebody is on innovation, somebody is especially on technology or education. So you have to again check where they lie and which organization you should go and connect to. Upaya Social Venture opportunity, they look for more or providing employment opportunity to poor. So whatever you are coming up with, is it bringing some employment opportunity? That has to be seen in your idea and whatever innovation you are bringing it, and then they will help you out with whatever resources they have. Innovent, investing in innovation, very core to that, improving lives of people in low income market in India. So you can see every organization, they have very clear mandate and portfolio. So that what help they want to take to their focused market, what impact they want to create, because the funding given to them is only for that particular objective. So they can't divert from it. So whenever you are reaching such organization, read about them, and if it fits to your kind of impact and solution and innovation, definitely reach them. Center of Innovation, Incubation and Entrepreneurship, CII, again very old setup, and again we are connected with them. And India, it's a Premier B school, so it's more of an open where they look for different kind of idea. They service include incubation, they accelerate also. Let's say you are already at a stage and you are looking for marketability, and also they help you with market part of it, connect you to the market, give you resources, or connect you to the right people. So they do more work than very focused work like incubation, where they give you funding and all. The market part, which is acceleration and mentoring and everything, is done. Khosla Lab, again funded by Mr. Khosla, who is one of the biggest investor in US in most of the startups. And he has this Khosla Labs, which work more on innovation part, technology part. So anything which is related to technology, you can always reach to them. They are more into deep technologies, is cloud technology, mobile payments, and all those things. So you can always find out and reach to them. Then Marico Innovation Foundation, established in 2003. Marico again work on very focused sector, but they have little larger renewable energy, waste management, employability, livelihood, healthcare. So they have a larger canvas. And if any one of you have such ideas and you want to work and have some solution to any of this sector, you can reach to them. So they have, again, they always, each of them help you, especially with mentorship and funding. They call it seed funding or initial funding to develop and or try test your product or innovation into market. So these are the organizations which are individual run or run by a group of people, but there are a lot of organizations which are government organizations or funded by ministries, different departments. You can also reach them whenever you are looking for any research and development, and under each department, each ministry, they have multiple schemes. For that, you have to go and just Google in their websites. And being of technology age today, everything is available there, including sending them proposal, the samples, how to you make proposal, and is it through your one-time impact, giving to some person one meal for a day, and again you need that 100 rupees. So that is also an innovation which has to be part, that how strategically you are deploying the resources you are getting and what larger impact you can create with the same resource. That is what they are looking from your objectives, your innovation. So I think that is all for this session. I'm open to any questions specifically for this sections where you like to ask anything on ecosystem, anything on strategic management, anything on research development or innovation. Over to you, sir and ma'am. Thank you.
It sound right, boys. Sound right, boys.